Right now, we're going to go to the Boardwalk Honda hotline. You'll see former Eagle Quintin Mikell on the video side. If you're listening on the radio, well, you're missing out. He's up on the screen. He's got some new stuff going on, and I'll tell you what, this is going to be fun. The Q&A show, powered by Inside the Birds, features former Eagles safety Quintin Mikell and former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant. I got a funny Jason Avant story, actually, that I can try to share with you, Quintin. But it's good to see you, man. How you been?
Been great, man. Great. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And your new show, it's going to drop 6 a.m. Wednesday on the Inside the Birds YouTube channel and all their podcast platforms. It debuts tomorrow. So let's start with that. Give the listeners and the viewers a little sample of something that you and Avant kind of kick off on this debut show.
Yeah, well, first, obviously, we're going to be talking about the state of the Eagles right now, and a lot of big changes that have happened this offseason. And so that's going to be kind of the first thing we're going to be starting to talk about. And then eventually we'll work our way through, hey, where does the program go in the future? We'll continue to break down different positions, especially secondary and receiver positions, and kind of figure out where we're going to head with that as well. So we're really excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take a different perspective on it. We're going to try to give everyone an idea of what the game's like through the lens of the skill position players. And that's the receivers and the running backs, linebackers, receivers, defensive backs, safeties, and just kind of give a different perspective on it.
Well, you obviously excelled at safety during your career here, 2003 to 2010. That wasn't a position that was a big problem. How do you see that Eagle? Because I was talking earlier at 4 o'clock in the 4 o'clock hour, looking at the safety, and I said, well, Rodney's got ACL for the second time. Jalen, we don't know, was coming back. After that, I mean, that safety position looks to be one of the biggest problems that they need to fix going into this offseason.
Yeah, there's a bunch of openings right now, and but you know what? With the way I look at it now, it's an opportunity for change. It's an opportunity for someone to step in and make a new new bid for the position, so to speak. So it's an opportunity for maybe Coach Bannon, the new defensive coordinator, maybe his mindset is maybe you'd like to have a bigger safety, like a big John Lynch type safety,
right?
Or maybe he likes speedy guys. So I'm actually looking forward to see what type of players that he likes and kind of players that he wants to put in that secondary, and see if it's going to be any different, same. Will they be freaks of nature? Will they be very smart players? Will they be aggressive? So it's a whole lot of change and a whole lot of excitement that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Well, that's the big thing. Jim Schwartz has been here, so we kind of knew. Now, somebody asked me yesterday, well, are they going to blitz more? I said, I don't know what to expect from Jonathan Gannon, who was a defensive backs coach. Let me ask you about this. I've had this debate with Jeff Mosher before. Do certain guys have an innate ability? In other words, are certain guys good blitzers and not like – so people would say, why don't you blitz more? And I would say, well, maybe some of the personnel, they don't have good blitz. Like they don't have good instincts to be a good blitzer. Are there good blitzers and not good blitzers?
Oh, absolutely. There's a kind of an art to it. I was fortunate to be in the secondary with some very good blitzers, not just Dawkins. I mean, we had Lito, we had Sheldon, guys that came off the edge and blitzed. And so it's really kind of like an undying art. I mean, it's a dying art, where you've got to have the great timing. You've got to have good leverage. You got to understand, the timing and the right angles. And like you might come on a blitz and you might think it's a pass. It might be a run or a draw. And you have to be able to quickly adjust and come underneath. So I do think that blitzing is something that a lot of people kind of overlook. And it's something that you definitely have to work on. We did it all the time, and it's quite possible why we never blitzed. I think it was more of a scheme thing with Coach Schwartz. I just think that some coaches don't enjoy blitzing. I think some enjoy blitzing, and I think it was a little bit of kind of both of those.
I feel like when he had Malcolm, he trusted Malcolm as a blitzer, but he also trusted Malcolm so much to do other things. He had to pick his spots, and I don't know that he trusted his other personnel to blitz as much.
Yeah, when you lose a guy like Malcolm, it's tough. And, Rodney, I think those two kind of played well off of each other. And when you have a player as good as Malcolm, that's not in the secondary anymore. And now you're relying on younger guys. And I still consider Rodney he's a veteran now, but he's still, compared to Malcolm, he's still a younger player. So I feel like it did weigh a little bit on him, because you have to make sure that you're not putting yourself or the secondary in a bad position by constantly blitzing. So I do think that it was a little bit of a mixture of those things as well.
Former Eagles safety Quintin Mikell, the debut show tomorrow. It's the Q&A show with Quintin Mikell and Jason Avant. It drops at 6 a.m. every Wednesday on the Inside the Birds YouTube channel. Now, what did you think about Mills as a safety last year as opposed to him playing corner?
I've been watching a lot of film lately, and I had always, when he was a little bit younger, I think that the transition to safety would have served him a lot better when he was a little bit younger. I think watching him play last year, he just looked a little uncomfortable at times. It's something that can develop over a couple seasons. It's not something you can expect a guy to go from corner to playing safety and just be great at it right away. It's a lot different than a lot of people think. You're dealing with different angles. You're dealing with linemen. You're dealing with tight ends. You're dealing with a bunch of different things that you're not used to seeing and reading as a safety, as a corner before. So I do think that given maybe one more year of experience, he's going to have a much better season this year than he did last year. I did see a couple times a little bit out of place, little things, and those are little things that he can work through. And I do hope that they bring him back, and I'd like to see him come back and kind of continue to develop on those little ins and outs of the game.
Now, I'm really interested to get your opinion on this, because I feel like the Eagles' secondary coaching has changed so often. How much of an impact is the secondary coach as to, so many times you'd watch an Eagles game and you'd see the guys not turning their heads. It always seemed like it didn't seem like there was a lot of great technique from, and that could be they just lack talent to some extent, but you're getting a coordinator who has a background in that area. So what impact does the secondary coach have on how a secondary performs?
The secondary coach has a ton of impact. Now, that's not to say he's not out there on the field. You can teach everything that you want, but at the end of the day, the players have to go out there and execute what they're taught. And I think that a lot of times people don't realize, like they say, you kind of rise or fall to the level of your preparation. And so if I am in practice and I'm constantly in positions where I'm playing well, the second that I'm in the position of, like, let's say I got a deep ball on me, right? And I'm so used to making sure that I'm deep. Well, what happens is in the game, if something else happens and I never have tested that ability and I get beat, I might panic, right? And so that's one of the biggest things that people are, and the most difficult things as a defensive back, is when that ball breaks over your head and you hear the crowd go, and it's coming to your guy. That's not a good feeling to feel like. And so that's when you have to practice, okay, let me relax. Let me keep running with my form. Let me watch his hands. Right when his hands come out, I'll try to get my hands between them. If not, I'm just try to make a tackle and move on to the next play. And so were these things that they were working on? I would assume they were working on these things, but at the end of the day, the players are the ones out there that have to go out there and execute.
All right, so this is another interesting question that I want to hear from a guy like you. Now, you played with the Eagles from 03 to 10, little different game. The role of the linebacker in the defense when you played, and now what you see the role of the linebacker, because it feels like the Eagles have kind of de-emphasized that position and just said, we'll put whoever we can find there. We like guys who could, like, you might have played linebacker in today's game as opposed to what you did when you played.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not easy finding good linebackers. We had Nigel Bradham who held it down for quite a while, and I don't think our emphasis has been under Schwartz with the front four and the D line that's kind of his most important part of the defense, and it's not easy finding good linebackers, but it's also not easy, when you never try, when you never draft high. So I think we learned that as a defensive team that you can't lose a guy like Nigel and then try to step up with anybody. You got to have someone that'll step in and help right away. And I just feel like that's another hole that we have. And there's quite a few. So hopefully we can figure out a way to, get a couple more athletic guys in there and guys that are kind of, I don't want to talk bad about the guys we have, but just we got to step it up at that position because it's definitely a need.
Well, right. I mean, you get a guy like Jeremiah Trotter who's like 260 pounds playing linebacker. That guy doesn't have a position anymore on defense.
Yeah,
and Jeremiah was a tremendous player. That in today's game, where does he fit in?
Right. Well, even when he was on the team, like a lot of times he would play first and second down, and then third down he'd come off the field. Now he hated it. He absolutely hated it, but that was what we had to do, and that's what he had to do what he had to do, and we were more successful because of it. But I tell you what, man, goal line situations, there was nobody you wanted in the middle of that field other than Trout.
Well,
he was a complete run stopper.
And conversely, it's not like a guy like, for instance, Nate Geary, who was a safety, and you're saying, hey, we're going to play you at linebacker. Well, now I'm on the goal line, and I have a 230-pound guy playing linebacker. It's a tough spot, like that position. But it feels like it's changing a little bit. Like, so I'll ask you, Quintin, at number 6, would you be like, yeah, you need to get a linebacker?
Yes. So the way I'm looking at the number 6 pick, in my opinion, we have to get the best player available, no matter what position that is. When you have so many open holes on a team, and it's offense, defense, special teams, you've got to get the best player available. And if it's a linebacker, well, you better. If he's the highest on your board at that point, we need him, and then we can build around him. So I'm hoping that we start to help out with the secondary and the back 7 earlier than we have in the past. But listen, we've tried. Howie's tried to address that position in the past. Sidney Jones, we've had a couple of high picks, and it just hasn't panned out. So I don't know what the evaluation is there when we're looking at the defensive back position, but we gotta get a hit there. Absolutely. The back 7 somewhere.
All right. Speaking of a hit, would you advocate then taking a quarterback at that spot?
I stick by what I said. If the best player at that spot is a quarterback, you have to. And that's not a slight to Jalen Hurts. He's a great, tremendous player. But I mean, it's a business, and you got to take the best player available. You can't afford to lose out on a player that at the number 6 pick that is worthy of running your franchise.
So if they didn't take a quarterback, do you feel that you saw enough from Hurts to feel that you'd be comfortable with him entering the season?
I personally, yes, I do. Yeah. And the reason why I feel confident with Jalen is he was cool, calm, and collected. He never rattled. He's athletic. He's fast. He can move. He can throw, and he's young. I mean, he's got so much. He's got a high floor, and everywhere he's been, he's dealt with adversity and he's overcome it. And that's the kind of guy that can take you to the next level when times get rough. That's a guy that can put the team on his back when he has to. And so I absolutely 100% would feel comfortable with Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
All right. More like this with Jason Avant. The Q&A show powered by the Inside the Birds guys features Quintin Mikell. Jason Avant drops tomorrow at 6 a.m. on the Inside the Birds YouTube channel. The first show will examine Wentz, Hurts, the Eagles' moves. They'll have analysis, tape breakdown, draft talk, free agencies, OTAs, mini camps, and more with the guys. Quintin Mikell's been my guest here. Jason Avant. By the way, Jason Avant, so we're at the Super Bowl in Minnesota. It's in the food court there. He was coming on the show. Now, I don't know Jason from Adam. My phone's ringing, and it's Jason Avant, and he says, hey, man, I need you to get me in here. I was like, what? He has no press pass to get in. You had to have a press pass. I have no idea how to do this. So here is this guy who's, played in the NFL and everything. They have no idea. He's asking me for help to get him in. I go down. Yeah, that guy's with me. They're looking at me. This guy's with you? I said, yeah. And that's how I met Jason Avant. Never had met him before in my life, but I got him in at the Super Bowl in the food court in Minnesota.
Yeah, big time. I see you.
Quintin, good to see you, man. Good luck with the show. Well, everybody out there, tomorrow, 6 a.m., the Q&A show. Quintin Mikell, thanks, bud.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Quintin Mikell. Appreciate him jumping on board, and he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline.